that's in despair and discouraged, it may be more like 20%. And so obviously we're not in despair and we're not discouraged because we have over 50%. And we're very grateful. So many of you carry out your part here much in the same way as Paul is describing in Philippians. I've always loved this passage. To me, it's a passage of affection and recognition of the Philippian church and their affection for one another. He says this, he says, therefore, if there's any encouragement in Christ, if any consolation of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any affection and compassion, make my joy complete by being of the same mind, maintaining the same love, united in spirit, intent on one purpose. Do nothing from selfish ambition or empty conceit, but with humility consider one another as more important than yourselves. Do not merely look out for your own personal interests, but also for the interests of others. Have this attitude in yourselves, which was also in Christ Jesus. So, and I did, it's one of the reasons I hesitated to have this event here is I wanted to have it in a restaurant venue so none of you had to do anything. But as we began to look at it, it became exorbitantly expensive. And so Dara and Mike stepped up and says, no problem, we can do this. And I said, yeah, but, but we want to do this. And I'm like, okay. So just a special kudos to them. And there's Mike back there in the AV working right now. And the fact that they have such a heart and such a grace to serve and to meet needs, and it allowed us to do this event much less expensive than we would have had to do it if we had done it at, say, one of the other restaurants. Our venue is a little bit large. We also didn't have a good, easy provision for children in restaurant settings, and so we knew that all of it would work together a lot better if we just did it here. And Crystal also, I think she led the charge on the decorations. Where are you, Crystal? Oh, there she is. We've learned that Crystal has a special gift when it comes to decorations. You were probably at my 70th birthday party. Well, a lot of that, she had a vast team of people working for her, but it was her brainchild, all of that. All those crazy pictures she had of me on little sticks and all that stuff. I mean, it was just crazy. But that's just kind of emblematic of the types of gifts that come together and make things happen. So I want to talk to you a little bit about where we are now as a church. It's been 13 years to date, almost exactly 13 years since we launched the church. Prior to the church, we had 5 years where we ran as a young adult ministry, no Sunday morning. It was all young people. And so we started the church with this kind of unusual mix of people. Everybody starting the church was under 30 years old, except for me and Jeanette. And I think Reba and Sean, y'all were a couple of the first people that kind of came in. We already knew them. But they were under 30 also at the time. And Reba was even young enough to go on a Big Bend trip with our young adults way back then. How about that? You went on 3 trips? Really? I don't remember 3 trips. They're all a blur at this point. I've been on 24 consecutive trips, so it's a blur, sorry. I'd have to go back and look at photographs. But thank you for coming, Reba. All right, so 13 years ago, we launched the church, and it was an unusual mixture because it was dominated by young people. It's still dominated by young people, but did you know that even in today's surveys are doing that the demographic most likely to come to church are Gen Z? It turns out they are the most faithful and consistent in church attendance of all demographics, and then millennials would be next. So it's the young people kind of leading the charge in commitment and consistency and being a part of a church. And so it would be, if we didn't continue to have a strong presence of young people in our church, it would be a reason to be very concerned. To me, I would be very concerned. So we continue to make a very focused effort to continue to put a helping hand out toward them, a welcoming hand out toward them in various different ways. we are in a very good place as a church community right now. We're united, we're unified, and we're at peace. As far as I can tell, I think we're all at peace. Yeah, this one, okay. We're united. Now, you may almost take that for granted because we've been that way for about 7 years. So you look at it and you go, wow, 7 years we've been united, we've been at peace, we haven't had any kind of schism or groups of people rebelling, or it's just we've had a lot of peace. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to have. It's the way you want it. So it's been almost 7 years since we've had any significant division whatsoever other than the usual little stuff that people do. You know, I hate you and I don't ever want to see you again. Yeah, that kind of stuff. But where it's not an alignment, you know, against the pastor or something. All right, so I would say in that 7-year period represents very likely, I would say, and I haven't asked Jeanette this, but I think she would probably agree. It's probably very likely the most rewarding and pleasant of enjoyable times in our pastoring experience. And we've been pastoring for a long time. I mean, we've been, you know, we had another church before this one, but it was really nice at this point in our life, at this season in our life, to have peace. And I read, I'm in a big pastors group, AG, lead pastors, senior pastors only, Assembly of God, senior pastors only. It's like 2,500 pastors in there. And with that many people, they will write, I'm going through this problem right now, have this division, I have this happening, I'm dealing with this. And people will give often really good advice. Have you considered this? Or just quit. No, they didn't usually say that. But I look at I looked at one today and I almost wanted to read it to y'all and just make you cry. It's not like you have a lot of good news on those sites. It's not like every day somebody's going, our church is growing, you know. We just had this many baptisms and we had this and that. No, it's usually the problems that are coming up. And that doesn't mean that a lot of the churches aren't experiencing really great things. They just, I think the reason we don't see a lot of that is because they don't want to rub it into the churches that are struggling, the smaller churches that are just hanging on kind of thing. So for us, this is a beautiful period. And so, guys, I'm 70 now. Don't mess with me. Let's just be happy. Let's all get along. Just, you know, this final stretch, we want to just be harmonious and beautiful and happy. And all right, so again, and really, we thank God for it. We thank God for this season. We're very grateful to Him. But it's also you, because you have a sweet spirit. You have a good heart. And even if you don't agree with everything that I say or everything that others may say or think, the fact is we work toward finding consensus. We work toward finding agreement. And sometimes just are quick and easy to forgive and extend grace, right? And that's the spirit of a healthy body. The first 7 years, the church was very heavy in young adults. The last 6 years, we have matured beautifully into a fully integrated community of believers. It's very difficult to build a healthy, stable church on just young adults. It is about what they become that is amazing. Okay, it's what the young adults become. And now I've been doing this long enough, I actually get to see what many of you become. And it's an amazing, one of the most satisfying things to me is to watch you guys over 10 years, 15 years, and to see what you become. And many of you have become just fabulous adults. I could say the same thing about my own children. Fabulous adults, fabulous parents, contributors committed to their churches. And so many of our young people, and there are a number of them that are here going all the way back to the pre-church period, that 5 years, somebody hit their head on the wall. That 5 years prior to starting the church was our young adult ministry, and some of you are here from that era. So, longevity, I believe, has been a key to building a fruitful, stable, and growing ministry. And I'd say about half our church, the core of our church, about half of them have been with us here in excess of 4 years. That's a lot. And I couldn't have said that during that time we launched, when it was all young adults. They are so transient, they're so flighty, they're so flaky, they move around, they change schools, they change jobs. It's this moving sand all the time. But so the beauty of where we are today is that things have stabilized tremendously. So many of you in this room have been with us for over 10 years. Quite a number of you, and some have been with us for over 15 years. The Lord, in the last 5 years or so, the Lord has added some really amazing families to us. And they helped change, that would be the post-COVID period. They really changed the fabric of our ministry. Before COVID and then after COVID, we're not even recognizable. Our church doesn't even look or feel the same as it did prior to COVID. I mean, it was an amazing shift, and there are a lot of reasons for it, but it was a really good shift. 2 years ago at the dinner, I said this. 2 years ago, I said this. We're in a good place. We were in a good place then too, to move into a time of new growth and fruitfulness. Now, I also shared a word the Lord gave me, and I don't share very often words the Lord gave me. If y'all know me well, I don't say, well, the Lord said this, the Lord said that, unless I really am 90% confident He actually said it. So I did sense this. It was while we were doing an intensive summer, which we do every summer, and we had, so many students, and we were going through one of our textbooks was A Letter to the American Church by Eric Metaxas. And we were working through that process, and while I was reading the book, the Lord spoke to me. That's when He spoke to me, when I was reading that book at that time. And it was something to this effect. I wrote it down. I sensed the Lord speak. Now is the time He will begin bringing increase to our church. That was June of 2023. You may not realize how significant that is, because I never had that word until that moment. I always had the prayer that we would have increase, that we'd be fruitful, that we would reach people, that we would grow. All these things were always part of my prayer. But it was more of we'd hit a point and go down, hit a point, go down. And I'll show you in a minute the graph to that. But the context of that message, I believe, from the Lord at the time was that what the message that I bring is dear to His heart. And my sphere of influence needs to see an increase. That's the Lord's heart in that word. And so there's a certain flavor to the type of teaching. It's also the same flavor that really ticks people off, triggers people. But that's all right. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I please God, and that He is looking at my heart, and that He approves. And that ultimately, that's all that matters. And so He saw that. He says, therefore, I will cause increase. So that to me is really cool. At the time, and I said, we have already begun to experience this increase. We had more Sunday visits. This was January, so it's 6 months later from when I had the word. We have already begun to experience the increase. We had more Sunday visitors in 2023 than any time previously. We're experiencing new post-COVID 30% growth since pre-COVID. That was, still a period of years, 30% growth. But I want you to see this chart. Some of you have seen it before. This is the chart of our attendance from the inception of our history. So we were planted and launched on the far left. And then you see the big deep dive. That is the COVID attendance. It was so depressing. 10 people per service for we did it 5 weeks or so. And I said, I'm done. Not doing this anymore. So then we restored to normal as soon as we could. And then you see a big surge after that big drop. You wonder, why did it surge? The reason it surged is nobody was traveling, but they were coming back to church. That's why the upward graph line, it seems to go way above, but it's fake growth. It's just attendance numbers that were inflated because nobody is going anywhere. You were all stuck. You had nothing better to do but go to church. And so, now if you'll notice, So basically, so we start to rise from that moment. But you'll notice we never see the yellow highlight. We never rise above the yellow highlight. That's kind of our stuck point. But then you see the blue arrow on the right. That is the moment the Lord spoke to me about now is the time for increase. And it's that moment where we break through that yellow line. Almost to the date. And so I love it when the Lord speaks, especially something cool like that. And so each of those orange bands represents a fall semester. So literally from that blue arrow until now represents 3 years. 1, 2, 3 summers, 3 falls. So that represents 3 years. And we've gone nonstop growth from the moment the Lord spoke to me at that time to now. And we broke through that yellow ceiling. So you all are a part of that. And I'm sharing this with you for a number of reasons. But one, because I want you to understand how important our volunteer team is to help us to manage and steward the growth that God has promised us. So now, let's see. So I believe that since in the last so many years that we have developed a maturity in our church among us, and we've developed a stability to responsibly handle new and more rapid growth, and God sees it. He sees it, and He's provided for it. Some of you were brought here to become a part of our church to help us to manage this. Do I have to name names? 2020, 2021. A bunch of y'all came to us in 2020. We know as a team that this must be a kingdom thing. You do actually care about the people that are coming. I believe you all care. About 1 in 4 people that visit us will stay. Maybe 1 in 5, somewhere in there. It's hard to measure that. They will stick with us at least for a while, but they decide to settle here and become a part of our church. They represent to us, all these people visiting, they represent future relationships, future friendships, and yes, they also represent discipleship challenges. We're all pulling together. It shows. It started to show about that same time we started doing 2 baptisms a year instead of 1. It bugged me. I've been doing that for 2 or 3 years now. That's fruit. So this time of fruitfulness is in no small part, it is attributable to these facets of our ministry. Now, I'm talking practically here. Obviously, God spoke it. He brought it about. But I also think that He, in the midst of that 3-year period, gave us wisdom and some changes we needed to make. And some of those changes were increasing our staff and a number of other things, and I'm going to talk about that. But I want to talk about several of our departments in our ministry. One of them is Annette Kids and Tots. Jeanette is the director of our children's ministry. You can see her going back and forth already. She breathes it, she sleeps it, and but the guys that serve in our children's ministry are really amazing. Some of them have been serving there for years. Some of them have been serving in our children for even 5 years, 6 years, 7, 8 years, 10 years even. I mean, Crystal, do you get the award? You get the record? Did you see what she did? She goes, no, but I'm glad you noticed. Okay, all right. We love you, Crystal. So, but you guys are amazing, that team, our children's workers. Many of them have remained committed. They truly do care about our families and kids. Our workers are good. They're quality people. Jeanette works on that schedule. She gives them a schedule. They're going to rotate. It's kind of a lot to manage. So we have 8 workers per class. For Net Kids, you have like 10 or 12 workers, right? And then Net Tots, you have another maybe 16 or so workers. And in Net Tots, it has to be female So that limits our pool. But nonetheless, so you have probably 25 people that are involved in the children's ministry, and to add the next class, we have to get 8 more workers. So that's where we look to the Lord to provide the labor. The Lord of the harvest will provide laborers for the harvest. I hear the harvest is percolating along with more pregnancies every day. And they count too. Discipleship, the calling of discipleship is not just the people that come into us from out there. It's the people who are coming to us right here, originating right in our midst. I have Randy, I started having him about 8 months ago, Randy, I had you start adding into the count a baby count. Because I wanted to be able to weigh the pipeline. And so I would watch, every week I'd watch the baby count. He'll write in there 7 babies. Or one week he had 10 babies. One week it was 12 babies. But it would fluctuate dramatically because as soon as they turn 1, they can go in nursery. But the pipeline keeps getting replenished. So no matter what we do, we keep having a baby pipeline. I'm glad that our church, we have healthy marriages and very active marriages. So Jeanette will schedule all the workers, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter. Saturday night, she's on the phone, she's texting, she's pleading, she's reaching out because there's a worker that's sick, or God forbid, 2 workers are sick, and then she's trying to get somebody to step in, and we always get somebody. I will tell her many weeks, I say, honey, if we can't get the workers, just bring them into church. And she's like, we never do. I mean, it's like a bluff on my part, I guess. We don't have to lasso the moon here. They can always just come in with their parents that Sunday. And so, but each week, she says it's like manna. It's God provides the manna from day to day, from week to week, and we have what we need. And but one of the keys to that whole system working and not breaking down is that there's always people that are willing to say, yes, I can pinch hit, I can step in for that person that's sick, and then maybe they get a week off the next week. But we try to rotate so we don't have just the same people back in ministry all the time. It's important that everybody is part of Sunday morning because that's the visioning and it's the time. We don't want people, they will get burned out if all they do is serve in a children's area in the back week after week after week. So that's why we have so many workers to rotate that. That's our philosophy behind that. So youth is another area that's growing right now. It was just a matter of time eventually, but Chris now meets with the youth every Monday. He has a breakout once a month, and I think they're running 10 or 12 kids now. It's a very narrow youth group. It's like 11 to 15 years old, and occasionally a 16-year-old might slip in, but it's 11 to 15, and we try to move them into young adults as soon as we can. Once they turn 16, we try to move them across. Sometimes there's a few of them that are so eager to get young adults, they'll double dip, not naming names. Oh, she was talking. She didn't hear what I was saying, but that's okay. You never know. You never know when I'm going to say something about you, and I did just now, and you didn't hear it, did you? Oh, okay. All right. So also Chris, on top of that, he does our campus outreach and leads that. And we had a number of students visit recently. They came on Sunday, they came on Thursday, that are directly a result of that outreach. And then we have the admin team, and that Amanda's not feeling well tonight. Their family's gotten decimated, I guess. I wouldn't say decimated, but they're not well. So she is... Amanda runs, there's a couple of teams that she manages. Well, first she manages me herself. With all the building stuff we're doing, I'm constantly sending her, would you take care of this, pay this bill, do this, that. She's our admin. But then she manages an AA team, and there's 3 or 4 young ladies that run that team, and what they basically are like my personal assistant on Thursday and Sunday morning, and they make sure that the house is in order. In case you ever wondered that, that's what they do, and they're very, very important. Because sometimes, believe it or not, I can get phone calls on Sunday morning, or something occurs, or I want to change something in a message, and this kind of thing. And I know that everything's taken care of because I have an AA team that's watching out for the house, right? They're getting all the flags out. And you would not believe how much stuff they have to do to get ready, but it's stuff I don't have to do. And so there's a list of like 20 things I have to check on a Sunday morning to make sure that everything's good, right? So that's what we call the AA team, administrative assistants. And then she also is managing the safety team, which is something new. That was Sarah's brainchild, and she was really right to inspire me to finally act on that, move on that. So we have a safety team of maybe 10 guys, I think. Is it all men? No, it's not all men. Amanda Guetta, are you still on that team? Oh, so it's all men. All right, we kicked the one girl out. Arnold, okay. We had unity in the church until just now. All right, so the safety team is, y'all seen them on Sunday morning, and then Arnold's often, so we're going to have to rework that a little bit once we open the new wing, kind of see how the best way to do that. But nonetheless, very important team. Actually, I had a young parent tell me, they first came to our church a year ago and said that was one of the things that impressed them, was that we had people watching and taking care of the kids area. And so they felt safe, and it made them feel like, I think I could keep coming here. And that person's in this room serving. They're a blessing. So let's see, the worship and the band, Sarah's the band director, the worship director. She's done an amazing job building a cohesive team. The team cares. Our band, they genuinely care about their presentation. They want to do well. They want to technically present, but they also have passion. They want to be able to cultivate a true spirit of worship in our congregation. And it's not an easy thing to do, mind you. You have to realize the people coming to our church are not necessarily coming from a hardcore charismatic background. So they're a mixture. Sometimes they're Baptists, or they were Baptists, or they were Catholic, or they were unchurched. I talked to somebody the other day, said, I just don't even have a church background, but I'm here. And so it's quite a mixture of people. And so that means that when you're trying to lead worship, it poses a slight challenge, because they're not necessarily trained in charismatic to be more expressive. But it's just something I decided not to try to force it. It's just where we are. It's who we are. We're just going to go with it. And so Sarah has done a fabulous job of building that team, and just consistent. And then she has April, who is our assistant band director, who the two of them are just a really great 1-2 punch. Because we have, you guys see Sunday morning, and then sometimes we have worship nights, and then they're kind of on duty then. But we also have Thursday nights, so a lot of you don't see what we're doing there, but it's a full-blown worship program on Thursday nights as well. And so Sarah's responsible for that. April, they work together to make sure that all the bases are covered. And then the team they have is just really wonderful, really amazing. And we appreciate them. We appreciate our band and all the people that serve in that. That's part of the volunteer appreciation. Hospitality team. Colby is a team leader for hospitality. Every week he has workers assigned to get those guest cards, get a good count. Randy is a good counter. Colby's a good counter. Not everybody can do that, Sheila's going, not me, I can't do it, I can't do it. She could do it 5 times and the numbers wouldn't even be within 20. I mean, she would be just all over the map. There's an art to it, a precision to it. It's like trying to get the chairs ready. There's only a few people that are anointed to do chairs. It's like there's a certain symmetry and alignment, a sense of it. And Chris is one of them. He is authorized. I believe Tara has been trained. Tara, you can do it. Reba's in process now. She's taking over facilities. And Colby can do it. All right, so some of these guys, I can walk in and I'll go, who did the chairs? And the AA will go like, well, I'm glad you noticed, but it wasn't me. No. All right, so hospitality. And the hospitality team, they work hard to connect, to get to know who people are, to greet them with warmth, and to hopefully get a guest card. Not everybody wants to do that, but we get a lot of guest cards filled out nonetheless. Our follow-up team, which many of you may not be aware exists, it's a stealth team. Very powerful, secretive team. It's the CIA of our church. It is the central intelligence agency of our church. So there's a team, it's called the follow-up team, and it's occasionally we'll actually meet in person with code names. Every week, we're in a private group on Facebook, so you won't even see it, you won't even know it's there. There's about 20 people in this group. We discuss our guests. I'll usually do a report each week, and I'll say, these are the people that I see. I have all the guest cards. I'll kind of give an account. What did you see? What am I missing? What was your experience? Who did you connect with? And trying to get to know all these new people that are coming in. Who came back? Who came back twice or 3 times? And trying to really, it's all part of really caring about the people God is sending to us and to be good stewards of that. And occasionally in that group, we may discuss somebody that's been missing for a month or 2, and are they okay? Were they sick, or are they mad at us, or whatever it happens to be. So we will try to kind of be aware. It helps us all become aware of really our body and the community that we're a part of. And that team is really an amazing team. So finally, facilities. Reba is taking over the inside facilities, and it's a new job, a new, very, very much more demanding job than what's been, because we're adding 50% to our facilities. It's a whole lot more. So what I did is I broke Chris's job. He was facilities, so now he just does the outside, and Reba does the inside. And then she has a rotational team that Chris has been utilizing to kind of get everybody to get it all done. You know, what do they say? Many hands make for light work. And we appreciate all of the people that serve on that facilities team. I know there's several of you that you're just faithful to come Saturday once a month, or however often you are able to do it, and make it all work, make it all possible. It would be extremely expensive for us to pay an outside agency to come in and do what we're doing as a volunteer group. The Anchor Fellowship, Sheila, there she is. She's been running the Anchor Fellowship. We just bumped up the age. She was so happy that we knocked out the 40-somethings. So now, and if you're a 40-something and you've been coming to that group, you're grandfathered in. There's no problem there. Don't panic. Don't worry. But it's now 50 and above, and so Sheila felt like children were coming.
So close, and then y'all moved.
You were trying to get to 40, and we just shot you down. You don't want to go to this. You don't want to do this.
I appreciate the goalpost has been moved.
All right, so here's the deal, Crystal. If you want to come one time as a field trip, we'll call it a field trip, and we'll say, this is Crystal and Andrew. These are young people from our church. All right, so the next team I want to acknowledge tonight is the AV team. Man, the AV team, talk about unsung heroes. Whenever something goes wrong, it's all of a sudden we all get that, what do they call it, a gooseneck, when you all go like this? Like, what is it, rubbernecking? What is wrong with those people? Why can't they get the screen up? What's happening? Why is the sound like that? And they're back there frantically trying to fix it. We know. And it's amazing how much technical things are happening in the AV team. And so it's a miracle whenever somebody says to us, I want to be on that team. Really? Really? Would you, please? Michelle was the last one we recruited, and she loves it. See, is that not a gift, like an amazing gift? All right, so AV team, we appreciate them, and a lot of times they'll have technical challenges and when it gets too hard, eventually they call Nathan, and Nathan will walk them off the cliff. But they are like clockwork, and they're incredibly faithful. The team, I think there's 5 or 6 people on that team. There's also some of them we have to have AV people on Thursday night as well. It's an amazing team. All right. It's with all these teams, and there are others I haven't mentioned. There's a lot of other moving parts to this ministry, but it's an amazing thing. We are together stewarding the growth that has already begun to occur. And growth pains are real, and there's an adjustment that we all go to as new people come. If somebody misses church here for 3 months to 6 months, they come back and they feel like it's already changed so much. They start walking in going, who are all these people I don't know? And that's why I don't miss. So I want to just mention a few things that may be helpful. Maybe you wonder, financially, many of you have really stepped up to the plate. And not just in this room, there are a number of people in our church that may not be serving in a tangible way, but they really give. I mean, they really give. There's people that are like so committed, and you realize if you're giving your money, it is your labor. It is your work. It is your service. It represents your time and your blood, sweat, and tears from work. And if you're giving that 10th of that productivity to the ministry, then it's part of serving. You understand? You're putting yourself on the line. It's so important. And so without people really tithing and really committed in our church, so much of what we're doing wouldn't even be remotely possible. But we have a large group of people. I would say probably about over half of our core tithes, they give a 10th. And the best I can tell, it's not an exact science. I'm having to look between the lines a little bit, but it looks like over half of us give the 10th. And then it looks like about a third give nothing or little to nothing. It might as well be nothing. In other words, they give so little that it doesn't even, it might be $30 a year kind of thing, but there's always a few people that will give something occasionally. What I'm saying is that what we're doing as a ministry with a third of our people not giving, and it tends to be newer people that don't give, but with a third of our people not giving, would we get more if we passed the plate? Would we get more if we kind of badgered people more often about it? I'm not so sure, but I would rather receive less offerings, less money, and not badger people. To me, if it's a trade-off, philosophically, I would rather just forego whatever extra money we could get by squeezing the turnip. You know what I mean? That's just how I think about it. But nonetheless, we are able to do everything we're doing with those that are giving. So you have about half or a little over half that are tithing, and then you have another maybe 15 to 20% that are giving significantly, but probably not a tithe. And so that represents the giving in our church. So here's what it looks like. And so I wanted to give you context before you see this. So with the growth in the church, this is the growth financially. So God has been blessing us immensely, despite the fact that a third of us aren't giving really much or any at all. That is our growth financially. And so that is 2025. The bar, if you can't read it, that's the bar on the right. That's 2025. We brought in about a little over $500,000, almost 550,000, something like that. Each year it grows. And I also want to point out this curve does not include a few really big gifts that came in 2023 toward our building. About 150,000 came in, and that is not in that graph. Because I wanted to show the basic rhythm of giving in our church, that's what's happening. And so if I were to put that in there, it would be this gigantic spike in 2010. It wouldn't be a representative of really what the tithes and offerings are on a regular basis. So just to help you understand. So we've been able to, because of the giving, we have been able to operate. You have no idea what it's like to operate a church that doesn't have enough money. It's extremely stressful because not only is it hard to pay any salaries we're paying, but it becomes hard to pay rent and everything else. And I've been in both scenarios. And I would much rather have abundance. Much rather. And so I feel thankful to God for the abundance that we have. And even with all the things we've been doing with the building and all that, we actually were able to secure a van. We have our own van this year. We were able to get a rock border installed in the front hedge, which has now been torn up by the builders. Chris, okay. We replaced several AC units, which, by the way, commercial AC units, 5-ton units, are very expensive. I think they're like 12, 15 grand each or something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, it's a lot of money. I think we replaced at least 2 full units in the last year or so. We added, get this, 2 100-inch televisions. So there's a lot of things like that you may not notice, but there are things that are there because we've been blessed and we have the ability to improve a lot of things, even the beautiful lights that Justin put in, all these things. It's nice to be able to make these changes and not be thinking, gosh, can we afford it? It's just the money is there. We do what we need to do to improve the ambiance and the functionality of our ministry. We have also added missionaries to our support base. And then the missionaries we were already supporting, we've raised all their support considerably and gradually over the last 2 years. We have gradually added part-time staff members, and I want you to, I don't know if y'all even know or even care, but I'll just tell you our staff members, this is who they are. I think I have a screen for that, or do I? We have, because of that financial curve, we've been able to add staff members. And you have to understand, part of managing and stewarding growth is adding appropriate staff members. You simply cannot grow and maintain and hold that growth unless we have the appropriate staff members in place to manage it and to steward it. So these are our staff members. I'm the lead pastor. Everybody else below my name is part-time. So what happens is we have been able to get people that are very skilled. Almost all of them, I think, have college degrees. They're very skilled. They have the particular area that they're laboring in is an area they do well in. Does that make sense? So we found that using part-time, really highly skilled, very smart, intelligent people, putting them in these roles actually helped. Actually, I realized they don't all have college degrees. One of them's working on it. Okay, so look at the rest of them. Yeah. Okay, I'll stand by that. Okay. But like, for instance, Amanda has a computer science degree. She could be making a lot of money full-time, but she became a mom, and so now she's able to take her administrative skills, her technical skills, and bring them into our church on a part-time basis, see? So we're able to utilize these. Cece was a full-time. She got a graduate degree a while back. She was working as an athletic trainer for the high schools, and then she has a baby. And so we find is them having a baby makes them accessible to us. We would never have gotten these people if it wasn't for that. If one of us is making $70,000, $80,000 a year and I say, hey, would you quit your job and come work for us for a fraction of that? Are you kidding me? No, but then they have a baby. And all of a sudden never looked better. I'd love to work for the church. For penance. I'll work for penance if I can just work for the church, right? So here they are. So Amanda's administration, children's director Jeanette Holland, youth and TAMUCC outreach Chris Yonker, media content creation Marcus Cerati. Now y'all realize that we must be present in the realm of media. That is the new public square. And so we put a lot of money in our budget for Google ads and for Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And you can look at our guest cards. We have them now kind of formulated so people can put, I heard about this church through a Google search. I heard about it through Facebook. I heard about it. And it's amazing how many of them will discover us in the world of the ether. Okay, so Marcus Fridays Media Content Creation. You'll see some of the reels that they'll put up on Facebook that catch people's interest. Marketing and website is Cece, and she's just a natural at it. It wasn't necessarily what her forte is, or like my dream is to manage websites and marketing, but she just picked it up like that. Amazing. Sarah, of course, worship and band director, and of course she used to have all of these jobs. These all used to be hers, and wasn't working, Sarah. So we just kept splitting off her job and these other people, and that's how we ended up. Assistant band director, April, and then facilities management, Reba and Chris. So the building addition, I'll give you a little bit on that, because that's part of your part here in managing growth and managing people and continuing to care, is the building addition has taken a really long time. It was about a year ago that they poured the slab, but it took about 2 years leading up to that to get all the permits and all the rigmarole done. So now we're like this close. Y'all see they just paved that hole they just dug out, right? That's what AEP is running our new service underneath that concrete, underneath that pavement. So it's taken a long time, but we're about as close as we can be. It's just little stuff now they've got to fix. We need to fix this, and there's a crack here, and this needs to be fixed. They've already penetrated the building, so there's openings from this building to that building. The double doors are open. The door in the Net Kids, which will end up being a closet, they're all open now. And so, but we're very close to really being able to file for an occupancy permit. Is that going to be next week? Is it going to be next month? I have no idea anymore. I can't tell you. And then one day they're just going to surprise me and go, here it is. Well, what? What do I do with that? So we're already buying furnishings. There's a lot of equipment and furnishings and things. There's just empty rooms right now, so we have a storage room. So we're starting to buy different things that we'll need, and other things have been donated that we're putting in there. And that there'll be a day when we announce, and we'll be looking for all of our willing servants to come along and help us, because we're going to move. We're going to have to move, and they're going to tear out those walls in the front, and the lobby will be bigger, and we'll have to move the office out and the children's out and all this, and move into those rooms next door. That's going to be quite a job, and there'll be stuff in storage to bring in and all that. So it has taken a long time, but the beauty of that is we were able to save more money and contribute more money so that we paid more cash toward the building. We have we accumulated in excess of $550,000 toward the building. We paid cash about $440,000 toward the building. We have $100,000 in reserve for a lot of the furnishings, and who knows what that we're going to have to do. So we still need to do the back porch. There's a lot of things that are going to cost a lot of money. So in other words, before we can close out the project entirely. So I thought y'all might like an update like that, so there you have it. If you have any questions, that's kind of my presentation. But if I could just say thank you. Thank you to all of you that care. Thank you to all of you. Whatever your role is, whatever it is that you're doing here, we deeply appreciate, Jeanette and I deeply appreciate your part here, and your contributions are all important. And even if you like, well, my contribution isn't that important, it's everybody together that makes it all come together and work. So with that, do you have any? We have a mic. If you have comments or you have questions, we'll try to allocate a few minutes for that. See how it's only 8:15. All right. Anybody? We have a mic here. Chris, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to run the mic.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Marcus, I already know what he's going to say. Oh, Marcus.
What am I going to say?
I know what you're going to say.
I was just going to point out that CC got 2 degrees to make up for Chris not having one.
Wow. You remember I said earlier about how unified we were? Wow. Wow, that was pretty good. I thought you were going a whole nother direction. I'm glad you didn't. That was worth it. I thought you were going to say some syrupy thing complimenting me in some way. A classic Marcus kiss-up. It's what I thought was coming. I was braced for it. I was sitting down. I was waiting for it. It's like, oh. Marcus, all right. Anyway, Cece does a lot better kiss-up because hers are real and they're genuine. She's like, yeah, yeah. All right, so what you're hearing is a lot of jiving from our staff members. We have staff meeting once a week. We started praying together as part of the staff meeting, but a lot of work. You wouldn't believe how much work is involved in running a church of, 250 people or however many are here, something like that probably. Okay, somebody else? Comment, question?
Can I ask what class is going to be split that we're going to need more workers?
Yes, of course you can. There'll be an intermediate class that we're going to add and carve it out. So you have, right now it's 1 through 5, and then, 1 through 4, and then 5 through 10. As you know, there's light years of difference between a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old. So we want to address that. So to do that, we'll go, all right, Jeanette, we go 1 through 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 will be the intermediate class, and then 7 through 10 will be the older class. Great question. So that middle class is where we need workers. All right.
In the graph, I was wondering for the attendance, what was the little bars in between them that were in between all the big,
yeah,
the
can
big
you bring
bars?
that up, Mike? That is really interesting. Now, that's an engineer that's analyzing it. I thought he was going to raise his hand and say, I'll quit my engineering job to be a part-time staff person. But that's not what he said. That's not what he had to say. Okay. That's funny. That is very funny. I'd like to hear their conversation on the way home. Okay, so I don't know if you can see me, but he's talking about these lines down here in the bottom. So those are very telling. Those are our young adult attendance. It starts out on Friday nights, and you'll see that the attendance of young adults is not that far different from our overall attendance on Sunday. And then over time, the switch happens, and somewhere in the last 5, 6, 7 years, what happened is our church became more church-centered than young adult-centered. Does that make sense? It doesn't mean the young adults, we still may have 60 or 70 young adults weekly, but as far as who comes on Thursday, and one of the things, it's anywhere from, 45 that were there Thursday night. But then there were a whole lot of other young adults that were here Sunday as well. So there could be 60, 65, 70 young adults that are maybe in the circle of our church. But the reason that's important, what it shows is the centrality of the church on Sunday over Thursday nights. And it used to be the energy of our church was all centered on Friday nights. And that's where the massive amount of people came in. And so so if a young adult, for instance, is thinking, I can only go Sunday or Thursday, I have to choose, we would want them to choose Sunday. Because that is the central kind of engine of our church. That's where the visionary meeting takes place with the entire church. And so if they had to do, and so over time, that's the way a lot of them have chosen. I'll prioritize Sunday and I go Thursday whenever I can. And some of them come Thursdays every week. Anyway, that was a great question. But it shows that trend.
Okay, so not in regards to attendance or serving, but I was curious about how many missionaries or like missions organizations we I guess, give money to, contribute to? And then,
Okay.
like, do you know about what percentage that is, like, in just our, you don't have to say it if you don't want to, but just
I'd have
curious.
to run those numbers, but it's been increasing. I know we give thousands a month. We have a slide that shows who they are.
Yeah,
We're
I've
about
seen
to
it.
add more.
Okay, cool.
So
I
as our
just-
income has increased, we're trying to catch up by adding more missionaries.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we want to be very selective. So we want to, I met with missionaries today at Coffee Waves who were wanting us to support them. But I don't want to just suddenly just say, oh, we have this surplus, let's just go hand it all out to missionaries. I want to be methodical and careful about how we do it, as I am with a lot of things regarding finances. But we did raise them all. You've seen the screen on Sunday? Those are who
Yeah.
we support. We have a couple from Vietnam that's coming in about a month. And I kind of looked into them and listened to them, and I thought, I think this would be a really beautiful couple that we could support. So we're looking at adding them. I'd like to add them. I'm hoping they'll work out well.
Yeah.
And I don't know about adding the people that I met today. They are going to be directors of Chi Alpha in the South Texas district. And so they're new to that role. I had a really good talk with them, actually.
How many more people do you anticipate we'll need to add to facilities team to make things work? Just for like the average Saturday?
Reba? I would think we need, I don't know if we need to do, I mean,
So-
we may need to add to the team regardless of the expansion.
I was going to say, we have probably, I think, 16 that kind of can
16
rotate out.
people?
It was either that can rotate
I know.
out, but a few have stepped out, so that's probably dropped from there. But we've always used 4 every Saturday to make it kind of work. So with the addition, I'm assuming we'll need 5 or 6 every single Saturday. And usually people serve once a month. So that's, 20 that we probably need. So we probably need another 8, 9
Oh, wow.
to join back into the team, would you say, maybe?
It's a great question. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go ahead and pass around a sign-up list. Actually, what we do try to do with a team like that, we try to utilize people that aren't utilized. Newer people, we don't feel like we have to vet them to serve on a team like that. They can serve next week. It's a zero-risk team. Unless they give Reba a hard time, then it's a high-risk team. But anyway, as opposed to putting somebody right away in hospitality or some other thing where they're the face of the church, we would wait on that until we know them and know their spirit and kind of their gifts and so forth. But anyway, great question. So I guess we need to recruit more people for the addition. I didn't know we had that many people on the team. You have 3 people in mind already? Okay. Yeah, go after those new people. They'll come up to us and say, oh, I want to serve. I want to be a part. Facilities team. You can serve tomorrow. Wow, it looks like we're done. All right. Well, thank you again for coming out tonight. It's a great night. Let's just pray as we close. Father, I just want to thank you. Jeanette and I are so grateful for the team that you've given us. We thank you for the peace and the harmony, for the joy that we have, the enjoyment that we have in serving this church, this body at this time and this season. And God, we commit this time to you. We thank you for already a year that's off to a good start. And we just commit this year to you, Lord, that you would cause us to have good success. We pray it in Jesus' name. Oh, and by the way, just interesting little tidbit talking about this year. The guest load was, January was 33. Talking about local guests. January a year ago is half that. Literally half that. So just from January to January. So we can do it. We can do it.